All right, Scott Bessent, the Treasurer of the United States, says blockchain and financial innovation is coming to the United States and a power will be unleashed. I think he's talking about the U.S. financial power will be unleashed in this new system. We are going to discuss and talk about this. There's also some updates from President Trump, updates from Eleanor Terrell on Paul Atkins, updates coming out of Congress talking about crypto regulation in the U.S. That, and I got a ton of other stuff we're going to talk about in this video, guys. So let's go ahead and start here. I try to have the most important stuff up front. That way, you know, I know a lot of you guys have busy days, so I want to keep you up to date with the best information. Let's go ahead and start here.
We will take a close look at regulatory impediments to blockchain, stablecoins, and new payment systems.
That's good.
And we will consider reforms to unleash the awesome power of the American capital market.
We will consider reforms to unleash the capital of U.S. markets. Okay, so
Americans deserve a financial services industry that works for all Americans, including and especially Main Street.
Okay, Americans deserve a better system for everybody, you know, not just the people on Main Street, it sounds like, or for all people and the people on Main Street.
Under President Trump's leadership, the Treasury Department and I will deliver that to you.
Okay, so basically you have a promise. You don't have any details on what he's actually talking about. And he says that we are going to look into this, right? What was the first line he had here?
We will take a close look.
We will take a close look. So a lot of people are saying Ripple, RLUSD. I'm saying there isn't much there, guys. I'm on your side. I want this to go well for us. I want there to be good news, but I will not force news on you on this channel. I'm just going to give you what was said and give you my context, and that'll be it. All right. I wanted to better understand the Ripple and the federal government. What kind of connections do they have? Because if the United States is looking to work with a company in the blockchain infrastructure space, what better company than Ripple, right? What better company that just acquired Hidden Road? If you don't know what Hidden Road is, guys, we're going to talk about it a little bit later in this chat. But if you really want updates on Hidden Road, you're going to be watching this content on Thursday. Go back to my Wednesday's content. Today's content, there's 2 videos. A lot of it has to do with Hidden Road. Incredible details. I actually have a little bit of stuff here that I can show you. I don't want to get too sidetracked though. Okay, focus on this, Robert. You got this. All right, partnerships and integration with federal institutions. FedNow integration. The Federal Reserve is integrating Ripple's technology, particularly its RLUSD stablecoin, into the FedNow payment system. This aims to enhance transaction efficiency and reduce costs by leveraging blockchain technology for faster and more secure payments. There's, of course, certified service providers. Ripple partners with many of the FedNow certified service providers. I did a video on this. I think at the time, this was, you know, months ago, there was like 30 something major certified service members, and there were connections, either direct connections or indirect connections to Ripple on like 27 of them. Kind of insane stuff. And that video, I went through each one of them. Do you remember that? That was a good video. All right. Regulatory engagement and lobbying. SEC and resolution. Ripple's legal battle with the SEC has been a focal point. Although the SEC dropped its appeal, Ripple's interactions with regulatory bodies have raised questions about the influence on U.S. policy, right? You know, there's a lot of people like myself that believe that there was a lot of pressure put onto Gary Gensler from the incumbent banks, right? I remember Gary saying this clear as day, that every day he has someone like Jamie Dimon in his office, right? So he really, you know, his clients at the SEC are the banks, right? The financial institutions. And, you know, obviously there's more to that, but you get what I'm saying here. There was a lot of kind of like, we really wanted to understand what was the intention going after Ripple and not going after Ethereum or anybody else for that matter, right? All right, government talent and connections, ex-government officials. Of course, Ripple has hired a ton of U.S. government officials or former U.S. officials, fueling speculation of potential behind-the-scenes alliances with the U.S. government. The reason Ripple does this, ladies and gentlemen, you know, because they want to better understand the system that they are working in and trying to improve and update, right? You can't demolish and blow up something that's been around for 5 decades unless you have a really good alternative that the world can see. It's cheaper, it's faster, it's more transparent. Everything everything goes into the plus category. Nothing goes into the minus category. It takes a lot of really understanding and know-how to be able to do all of this. And you can see Ripple hires some of the best people. And I'm not going to apologize for that, man. That's really awesome. I really like that Ripple does that. CEO White House ties. Ripple CEO Brad Garlinghouse has ties to the White House, including a recent meeting with Donald Trump and Ripple's donation to Trump's inaugural committee. If you want Trump to like you or be on your good side, you need to give him money. That's who Trump is, right? We don't need to mince words. We don't need to add anything. That's it. You give him money and he'll listen to you. If he likes you, if he generally likes you, he'll do two things, right? One is he'll start repeating things that you've said to him, right? Like leveling the playing field, right? And he will also, maybe tweet about it or make other things known in his orbit, on True Social, or does he still post on X? I don't know. Anyways, you can see the connections there. I just wanted to establish those and build those for you. Let's keep it going here. President Trump's executive director of digital assets says that they are ushering in a golden age of crypto. So you have Scott Bassett saying the same thing, and now you have, I think, Bo Hines is this person he's talking about here. You also have the U.S. Senate schedule a closure vote. SEC Chair Paul Atkins stated 11:30. The Senate vote has voted 51-45 to proceed with, I guess, the whole Senate votes to proceed with a vote on Paul Atkins' nominee. Okay. The upper chamber is now set to move forward with a final vote on Atkins potentially as of this evening. Man, he only got by with what? One vote? I guess the vice president, 2 votes, right? Because the vice president could, in a tie, the vice president can come in and overrule that tie. And then you have Mr. Lynch just stated in the hearing that the SEC case versus Ripple has been dropped to allow for innovation to grow. Remember, right? We have some certainties from a few different places, but it's still not fully behind us yet. But you do have people that are, of my parents' age, and listen, my mom and dad's memory are sharp as a tack, but sometimes they let things slip, right? Let's be honest. I'm sure you have a parent like this or an aunt or an uncle that, lets something go every now and then. And you're like, you probably shouldn't have told me that. Same situation here, I think. All right. XRP is a utility token. Let's go ahead and play this here. This is from that hearing. Let me go ahead and play this.
Chairman, I thank our witnesses for coming here to talk about the digital asset space today, and I intend to devote my time to talking about digital assets, the subject of today's hearing. If we've learned anything from the last several Congresses, the next market structure bill must explicitly include a bright line test so that whether Gary Gensler's looking at it or Warren Davidson's looking at it or someone else is, they know this is intended to be a security or it's intended to be something other than a security. And the FIT 21 Act did do that, but I hope it does a little more than that, because some things we intend to tokenize securities, and we need to give a path for the SEC to do that and provide guidance for how to tokenize a security. Some things will be intended to be tokenized commodities, and we need to provide that guidance. And the last bill went a long ways to doing that. Frankly, the void that I hope we fill is yet another committee of jurisdiction here in Congress is Energy and Commerce, because some things are really FTC regulated utility tokens, and they're really different things. So the idea that you can jam everything into either this or that, the reality is it's more segmented, just like the real world assets are more segmented today. So hopefully we keep making progress on the bill.
This video is brought to you by What.Exchange, built on the Orderly Network. This is a community-driven, decentralized, perpetual exchange. The UI is off the chain and it looks really, really good. We also have over $100 billion in trading volume on 71 different currency pairs. The supported chains currently are AVAX, Base, Optimism, Arbitrum, Ethereum, Mantle, Solana, and I hear they are trying to add more as we speak. The fees on this are 0.05% taker and 0.02% maker. It is very, very quick, high speed. Unlock additional benefits, advanced order and algorithmic order executions also coming soon. Seamless trading, decentralized trading, enhanced security and self-custody. And you can also stake the What token to receive up to 90% revenue share and also more features. They also have a really good looking UI. Like I said, it has a great order book. Yes, you can trade XRP on here as well with up to 20x leverage if you so choose to. When it comes to security, Orderly has been audited by multiple security firms, including Halburn, Zellick, Guardian audits. You can get all of that information in their documentation in their GitHub right here. Just scroll all the way down to the bottom. As you can see, the documentation is here next to the staking. The communities are Discord and X. And here is the roadmap through 2025 and beyond. There is a link down in the description of this video. I hope you can use my link. That really does help me out, and have fun trading on What.Exchange. Let's get back into the video. Hopefully we keep making progress on the bill. It does seem like there are some really intelligent people when it comes to different assets or different aspects of the crypto industry, whether it's DeFi, tokenization of assets, right? Stocks, bonds, derivatives, that type of things. We need people that really understand that. And so when it's written into law, you know, we don't have any problems, right? Because just the way that something is worded, right? Just one sentence can really throw off a ton of stuff. And if you have a bill that's hundreds of pages, I mean, we've seen bills that are like 1,000 pages because a bunch of other shit is like jam-packed into there. You need to read every line, right? And that's really important. All right. Ashley Prosper says April 9th, 2025, voting on closure for Paul Atkins SEC chair taking place right now, April 10th. SEC closed door Sunshine Act meetings to discuss, amongst other things, settlements. We've seen this many times before, but this is the one that truly matters since Paul Atkins will officially be chairman. Remember, Paul Atkins stated how important the Ripple case is. He knows all about it, and he knows the consequences if they actually get it wrong. I mean, they've already got it wrong, but if it like goes over the finish line, that wrong, right? If Ripple doesn't get this thing lifted where they can be able to sell XRP to institutions, that could hurt Ripple's business overall, right? We want to make sure that Ripple has everything that it needs to keep doing what it does best, and adoption will come. Remember, I think a lot of people get confused when it comes to the XRP ledger as far as how far it has come with adoption. And for a long time, you didn't have people building on the network. Only in the recent, like last 6 to 12 months, have you seen a flurry of, action and people understanding that, hey, the Ripple case is finally going to be ending here. Ripple is looking like it is going to wind up in a better light than it started this, and they might be the victor. So let's go ahead and start building into this ecosystem and don't just put it all on Ripple's shoulders. And I think it has been on Ripple's shoulders for a long time, but I don't think it's fully on Ripple's shoulders today. I think there's a lot of really unique things going on, and only time will tell how good this actually gets for us. Okay, the final crossing of the T's and dotting of the I's. We read this. This is March 25th. I'm not going to read this to you again. All right, major update. President Trump is slamming a 125% tariff on China while granting a 90-day tariff break on all countries. Now, thank God this was. I was really confused by this. Because on one hand, it was said that the tariffs are going to be used to get better bargaining positions for America, right? We've been taken advantage of for so long. We need a better deal. Okay. Then it was, the tariffs are going to be here to stay. This is how we're going to get rid of income tax. Okay. Right. And so I was very confused about which bucket we were in. And I think a lot of other people were confused. And if something like this drastic step wasn't taken, the U.S. economy could have gone back really to some dark ages. If you take a look at where we were heading, all the financial projections, it was recession city. And, recessions do happen, right? But they are happening more frequently under certain presidents. I'm not going to get into too much about that, but if we could all make some positive headway on all this stuff, we will be really good. All right, Ripple acquires Hidden Road for $1.25 billion. All right, so I have this. No, I have. Ooh, is it going to screw it up if I bring it up? Let's see here. All right, so this is Hidden Road. Hopefully it did everything that it needed to do here. The global credit network for institutions, technology-driven prime brokers clearing financial assets across traditional and digital asset rails, stable coins or stable focused conflict our approach. And here is what they do. Prime brokers and precise metals. FX, $7.5 trillion a day, right? Ripple with XRP can really reduce the cost of moving that value up to 90%, maybe even higher than that, which would be an enormous savings. You're talking about tens of trillions of dollars a year in savings. So, this company, Hidden Road, they do about $10 billion a day in settlements and transactions, sometimes up to $50 was it 50 million transactions? Something crazy. And so there's a lot of really cool, unique things happening with this. So go check out my content from today, Wednesday. You'll be watching this on Thursday. All right, let's go ahead and keep going here. There's a few other things I want to talk to you about. Standard Chartered predicts XRP could surge over 500% to 1250 by 2028. Underwhelming. I don't know who's writing this, or if this is just some kind of, some random analyst somewhere that knows, a little bit about XRP. Maybe he's putting this out. I can't imagine with the stablecoin technology, banks getting into custody, tokenization of assets, all of these things, Ripple is one of the leading players in, and you're telling us that we will be maybe doing a 4 to 5x on the price in the next 3 years. I mean, if it's in a bear market, I can understand the 1250 lows. There's more value here for me. I don't know about you, but I disagree with this. Anyway, World Liberty, Donald Trump company started selling ETH. And so again, guys, this is not Donald Trump's company. World Liberty paid Donald Trump to be a part of this. And so they're selling Ethereum at a loss. What are you doing? You're making, multi-million-dollar moves on Ethereum, and you are selling right as the market is supposed to be, popping? I don't know, man. I don't know. Obviously, whoever is working for World Liberty, if they make too many mistakes or things like this could be the end of World Liberty, obviously. Here you go. Despite the recent volatility, the XRP network is growing stronger, now reaching an all-time high of 6.25 million addresses holding 1 XRP or more. I wish one XRP is just like nothing. Like, who buys just 1 XRP? It's crazy to me. And then of course the institutions that are lining up to get their fair share of an XRP ETF is long, and it is growing every day. I will bring you the updates and the information. I hope you guys have a great day. Thank you for watching. I've been Crypto Sensei. Aloha.